Hello and welcome to Tennessee Football's 2022 Offensive Football Scheme Review. I'm your guide on this journey, SEC StatCat Clark Brooks. So we're going to go over three words that sum up this offense best. It's first down approach, it's approach on third downs to find conversions, and drawing up the core run and pass staples that made Tennessee's offense one of the most productive in all of college football this past season. So Tennessee's offense falls squarely into that Baylor spread philosophy, that super spread offense. Stress defenses not only sideline to sideline with quick outlets, but test their back ends, end zone to end zone with aggressive vertical tactics. So the first word that comes to mind, and you kind of need this to maximize those ideas, is a fast pace, blazing. 2.9 plays per minute this past season. That was the sixth highest clip in college football. And giving themselves more opportunities to put points on the board, it resulted in the highest points per game. But it wasn't just compiling. They were also the top offense in terms of points per play this past season within the SEC. In terms of plays per game, only other two offenses topped their output. And with the production and with the points being scored, it's nice to see that Tennessee's expected points added per play, so that is just a new fancy metric to try and combine the old school yards per attempt and the new-ish success rate into one nice number. Fifth best in college football last season. Second best yards per play in the SEC. Only the national champions outdid them in that regard. Second most explosive passes by volume in the SEC. 35 or more. No SEC passer had a clip of that over 5% last year. Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton both topped that this past season. And the next word I would use would be balanced. Tennessee took to the skies 55% of the time in meaningful minutes. That was the sixth highest rate within the SEC. So you might not want to think of run pass, but just think of the balance between ideas. They had the top play action rate in the SEC in meaningful minutes, 39%. They had the top RPO play rate in meaningful minutes, 33%. So there was a lot of carryover, a lot of gray area in between run and pass avenues. Speaking to that, only 12 reps separated Tennessee's most tried run concepts from its sixth. That is not a lot of separation whatsoever. There was a lot of balance between run concepts, and when you're running at a really fast pace, it can be really hard for defenses to diagnose it like that and get stops. Same idea, same with the pass. So they did focus a lot more on their top two, but from passes 3 to 6, only 4 reps separated them. So again, a lot of balance between ideas, throwing a lot of stuff at defenses and asking them to stop it. And the third word I would choose would be sturdy. Besides the national champions, Tennessee was the only SEC offense to finish top 3 in both offensive success rate and negative play rate. Speaking to offensive success rate, they were one of 3 SEC offenses to top the 50% barrier. So over half of this offense's plays found success in meaningful minutes. Speaking to that sturdiness, they were the top SEC offense preventing forms of defensive havoc. So basically, havoc is anything that can go wrong for an offense. Contact behind the line of scrimmage, pressures, sacks, batted balls, interceptions. Well, no one was better at preventing those types of elements from undercutting them within the SEC than Tennessee this past season. Yes, Tennessee's fast operation was important. Yes, the balance between multiple looks, having complementary aspects across concepts were important, but no tactic jumped off the screen for me within this game this past season than utilizing stack sets. So they're nothing new. You have your wide receiver on the line, you have another guy behind him in the backfield in the flanker position, and you're just trying to utilize that natural cushion that is created to facilitate inward or outward breaks, trying to test the verticality of this defense, or attack underneath areas if they vacate those portions of the field. So looking at the results, I wouldn't be talking about it unless it was significant. Tennessee's yards per run increased by 1.9. Their yards per pass increased by 1.9. Their rushing success rate increased from 48% to around 56% utilizing stack sets. Looking at Hendon Hooker in particular, yes, his down-to-down success rate was lower because this tactic kind of go to a little bit more aggressiveness, and it's a little bit harder to hit home run balls down-to-down than 5-yard curls. So his individual yards per attempt increased 3 yards. His touchdown rate increased from 8.2 to 9.5. His explosive pass rate increased from 12% overall to 17% with stack sets. And when looking at Tennessee's two main running backs, well, In terms of attempts, they were 1 in 3 in terms of volume, and in terms of yards production, they were 1 in 2. Jalen Wright, in particular, was arguably the SEC's most effective rusher from these sets. An 80% success rate, a 52% broken tackle rate, and a 29% explosive run rate across his 21 such carries. So it absolutely helped maximize those vertical opportunities. Looking at such, Wheelie Switch worked on 8 of 13 tries. It composed 38% of Tennessee's stack set production, and tying into the complementary aspects that stack sets provide. So if it was like a 2x2 stack set, the back end is definitely going to be stretched if you're going to consistently test them with outlets to space, with gap schemes inside. Speaking to that, Dart RPO tunnels composed 25% of Tennessee's stack reps in meaningful minutes. Tying into the idea, it really wanted to sturdy things inside and stress things on the outside. So all in all, I really can't speak highly enough of how Heupel leaned into these stack sets to bring about even more potency for one of the most exciting offenses in America. To start a set of downs, Tennessee wanted to be aggressive, but they also wanted to keep defenses in the dark as much as possible. 57% first down pass rate, but of those passes, 55% of them used true drop back play actions. Overall, including all plays, a third of them were RPOs. Again, that's playing into the complementary aspects of this offense, not leaning into any one thing too much. Only 4 reps separated Tennessee's second most rep concept from its 6th to start a set of downs. 2 of the 3 most popular pass patterns were vertical in Wheelie Switch and Divide 989. But based on what I had previously said, it should not shock you that All Curls was also next in line. In terms of run concepts, you had a nice eclectic script between Y insert, inside zone bluff read, the north-south duo dive, and the tackle rep dart read. So of those run concepts, only one of them finished with a success rate below 55%. You gotta like that ability to consistently threaten with 5 yards, get that defensive back end to creep into the box, and then manufacture shot plays off of that with your aforementioned breakneck speed. On early downs, when this offense had the entire playbook at its disposal, it was obviously a much better version of itself than on the do or die down. On the do or die down, third downs, their success rate was basically just above the SEC average. And when breaking out rushing and passing success rates individually, both of those clips finished below the conference mean. So that's awfully concerning. And when breaking things out, so Tennessee, they did a fairly good job at keeping themselves in decent positions. So 29% of their third down tries were in short yardage situations. So that is at least 3 yards or less to gain. And just over half of their attempts had 6 yards or more to gain. Both of those clips were in the top 4 within the SEC this past season. But when behind the chains, only Texas A&M and Vanderbilt produced worse success rates than the Volunteers. That is a clear detriment to their down-to-down success and ability to sustain drives. When they got in clear passing situations, when the approach was much more narrow, they were easier to stop than when they had RPOs in play, when they had play actions in play, when they had an up and down route tree in play. And even though a lot of those elements still showed up in the pass script, it was still much easier for defenses to stop because they just had to get 1 and not 2 or 3. So Wheelie Switch, All Curls, Hoss, Convoy Screens, Levels, All Verts, and Vertical Shots, so that's 989 Divide, were the only concepts in our meaningful minute sample to log at least 3 tries. 83% of their attempts behind the chains took to the skies. But in third downs, in general, shouldn't shock that the top pass concept, Wheelie Switch, was the preferred concept to get conversions, followed by 2 core inside zone reads, so that is bluff read and slam read, mostly concentrated for short yardage tries. And then, like I already mentioned, all curls, and we have slant curls, levels, and vertical shots, like I already mentioned as well. So even though that they were fairly average in terms of success rate on the money down, it definitely was a big shortcoming to see that their efficiency completely fell off a cliff in behind the chains situations. But now it's time to draw up some of their run staples. So I already mentioned there was not a lot of separation in terms of play share in meaningful minutes from its top run from its 6th most favorite run. And funny enough, runs 7 to 12 after that on the script all received 10 reps. So again, not a lot of separation in that respect as well, but still, let's get started with why insert and show why it finished as this offense most repped look in meaningful minutes. So this Y insert action going beyond just true carries was featured on 109 snaps. That is an awful lot of this offense's runs, but 55, or I should say snaps, but 55 were true run attempts. But of those 55, only 5 gained more than 10 yards. This was a pretty plodding attack, most of which were with RPOs. Well, in our sample, 83 of the Y inserts were with some form of RPO. The most common tags were, bubbles to space, tunnel screens, and all hitches, stuff like that. Things that are really trying to stress the defense's ability to defend sideline to sideline in the box or just outside of it. So this is one of the more explosive reps using jet motion across the formation just to bump out our coverage a little bit and hopefully trying to create a run crease inside. So Y insert, very similar type of look to split zones where you're having a offset tight end fullback fire against the grain of a zone flow. But here you'll see man blocking divergence up front as we look to snake this guy up. This is nothing more than just the old school I-form ISO, just out of spread formations. And how you can utilize, outlets on the perimeter like I already mentioned. So we'll watch it play out here. You can see how that motion kind of bumps the linebackers out. But in our man blocking scheme, we're going to go out, out. He's going to snake up to this backer. He's going to try and wash him out. And ideally, that would leave that linebacker for our inserter. But it's kind of a messy rep. But it's really good patience to find the hole and let it develop on the backside, because we basically let these guys go where they want to go after their stunt and a run lane emerges. So we'll let it play out here. You can see how this stunt, take him where he wants to. We're going to be right there because at the point of attack, we have a little bit of penetration even before our tight end can get there. It's not the cleanest of exchanges, but we still get a seal as our center is working up towards the second level, which springs this play. So once we get past the line of scrimmage, there's our hole, and with the linebacker occupied and UK in 2 deep safety, still with this situation down 24 points, concerned of this vertical passing explosiveness. So once we get to the open field, make a few guys miss, spin, keep our legs going, and it's a really, really nice rep of the Y insert concept from this offense. Here's another example of Y insert, this time with an RPO. So in our sample, 83% of them had RPOs. That translates to 33 attempts. And overall, again, nothing crazy in terms of efficiency, but there was a little bit of heightened returns with RPOs with a 5.4 yards per attempt and a 39% success rate. So same idea as the other. We're going to have a kick out towards the top of the screen, have a little bit of divergence at the point of attack, backside man washes away. Hopefully one person on the interior can work towards our backside linebacker as our tight end sniffer can go through the formation and engage with this linebacker. And like the previous example, 2 deep safeties. So again, this is a really nice design to try and take advantage of gaps with undermanned boxes, especially in the read game. So early in the ball game, South Carolina has the lead. Of course, they're going to be very much aware of what Tennessee can do in striking distance, so their attention's going to be a little bit occupied, and as you can see, there's going to be not one, but 2 oh crap moments from our safeties here. So block out at the point of attack, down, 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 down. He's going to snake up, and he's going to be our old school ISO sniffer inserter on this play. Could not draw it up better. Everyone's engaged. You get a seal, lead block, kick out. And there's safety 1, safety 2. And like I mentioned, There's oh crap 1 and oh crap 2 as our guy races to the end zone. So even though Y insert itself was not necessarily a great down-to-down play, its actions helped facilitate the rest of this explosive offense find great gains. Really great example of Tennessee using its breakneck speed to stress the defense. Look, 35 seconds left on the play clock. The dang production crew can't even get their sponsorships out of the way before the ball is snapped on this play. But a great example, again, of Tennessee testing their box integrity along with perimeter threats. So this stack formations type of stuff, we already kind of mentioned how it's usually going to be either something like a rinky-dink tunnel screen to play 2-on-2 ball outside the numbers, or like Kentucky found out and a lot of other defenses found out, it could be a vertical switch pattern that could really result in a major downfield gain if you are caught peeking towards the line of scrimmage with flat feet. But here's an example of a duo dive RPO. In our sample, it was a pretty even split with and without. 17 with and 19 without. Both had really good success rates, but the ones without RPOs had a little bit higher success rate because they usually dealt with more short yardage tries. But overall, 53 run attempts across 66 overall featured snaps. But yes, this was absolutely not an explosive type of design, despite its tendencies to try and lean into advantageous opportunities like this one. In only 3 carries, topped 10 yards the entire season. That's roughly only 6% of its tries. That's not what you want to see from one of the most efficient offenses in the country. But still, you can see how this rep thwarts even Alabama's pretty good defense. We have 5 linemen, including our running back, against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So last time I checked, 6 beats 5. And again, you can already see how these safeties are both looking towards the perimeter, trying to give an extra body of support for either a rinky-dinky tunnel screen to rally and tackle, or potentially cap a vertical switch. So we'll let you play out. You can see how there's a little bit of a divergence up front, so that tells us it's duo. We're attacking a north-south alley as opposed to working a little bit more laterally on a cross mesh. You can see a little kick out, down block, down block, down block, down block. Of course, it's gap on backer in our gap blocking scheme rules. To keep that in mind, of course, you always want to try and see at least one double team. That's why you get the name duo. But you can see it here. We're reading where this linebacker goes since he's unblocked. We want to hit a crease where he's not. But this time we're just going to say, oh crap, lower our shoulder and see what we can get. Again, it was a 6 versus 5 matchup, and we were hit basically 1 or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. Not necessarily the best job from the offensive line, but a very mighty rep nonetheless for a conversion. So like Y insert, this offense did a really good job of marrying the run and pass elements of split zone actions, or bluff in my terminology. So 45 featured reps across this season, additionally with 20 play actions off of it. And unfortunately, this, like a lot of other run concepts in this offense, it was fairly good at getting 4 yards, 5 yards at a time, but not necessarily getting big gainers. This concept only produced 3 gains over 10 yards, and 2 of them were against Akron. So do the math. This was the other one that appeared basically when you're trying to ice the game before halftime against LSU. And of course, this is a turf monster type of situation, as we will see here. Most of these were with RPOs. 23 of our samples attempts, basically 73%, were with RPOs for roughly a 44% success rate. Now, that is well below the overall 51.5% clip in our sample, but you have to realize that a lot of short yardage tries without RPOs generally inflated these returns. Those were around a 70% clip, much more effective. But Unlike our other previous examples in the run game, here is a late rotation down from LSU, rotating weak, potentially keeping their eye for some type of quarterback keep situation. So split flow, we're going to have our normal zone working away, a hard edge / arcer, depending on how the defense lines up pre-snap. In this instance, he is going to arc up towards the second level, again leading this safety who is collapsing towards the line of scrimmage late to be our read man on the other side of the zone development. So on the play side, we're basically going to have a hat on a hat. It's going to be a pretty nice stunt here, a destructive stunt, I should say, from our edge. Eventually, he is going to be occupied by our right guard. Fairly good job to keep penetration and to try and develop a backside run alley, and pretty good awareness from our right tackle to work up towards that front side linebacker and get him out of the way. So we'll watch it play out here. You can see how the safety's coming with a full head of steam. No chance that Hendon Hooker's going to try and keep this bad boy. And it looks like there's pretty even numbers on the outside for our RPO. Again, it would be 1 versus 1, and this safety was over top, capping that. So it was the decision to hand it off. So we can watch it play out. How our split flower is really, I mean, that's basically where he lined up in the play, but how the stunt takes him to where his landmark is, that's exactly how the play develops. There is our right tackle, like I said, with basically everyone else washing down. So good awareness to find that slither of space, that slither of daylight by our running back. Again, we get a little kick out here, wash down, and a snake towards the linebacker. And we get our big game before the turf monster takes us out. So counter, like a lot of other runs in this offense, pretty good success rate, 52%, but a single-digit explosive run rate. Only 6 explosive runs, basically 40% of this concept yards. So, like a lot of things, fairly plodding, short yards here and there. But here's an explosive rep nonetheless against Akron. Speaking to Akron, yeah, this feature was overly tried against bad defenses. So Ball State, Akron, and UT Martin were 3 of the 4 defenses to face a double-digit play share of this concept. So a very high concentration against non-Power 5 opponents for this concept. But moreover, it still worked when they tried them. So speaking to the versatility within this concept, 65 overall counters, 40 were of the traditional model, so we'll draw that up real quick. Of course, that's what we have on this play. We got a front side down block, a backside down block to cover our puller, a kick out, and our puller. He is our trapper for the first man outside of basically a 4-eye. So that's going to be our C-gap player. And then we have a trapper-rapper relationship with the other tight end going up and lead blocking through the hole with a little bit of a misdirection step before working towards our hole. So 7 examples utilize a center puller. So, you know, it could be something like that, or something like that. But of those 7, none of them worked. Another example was, in my terminology, bluff counter, because what is it trying to do? It's trying to bluff or fake a split zone action, which is also the name of that concept in my terminology. So unlike normal zones where everyone's working towards the same side, split flows, split zones have that guy work away, potentially creating a hard cutback edge if we need to, if our front side zone action does not meet its blockers. So unlike most counters that usually work weak, as we can see here, you know, this is the strength of the formation. We have our tight end on this side, but the run is designed to go to the other side. You can allow, because of the bluff counter action, to still run counter towards the strength. So you would have that backside trapper, feign a beat, and then snake up inside as a lead blocker. But again, this is a rep of the traditional counter using jet motion. So not only do we get this guy's attention on the play with jet motion, but also this guy. And it really does create a lot of space to run on the backside. So Again, you can see this guy is pulling. Defensive line coaches across the country are starting to pull. Oh my gosh, this guy's way back in the stand. Something's not quite right. He's going to be moving. So, damn right he is. So, he is our trapper, hard edge setter. Like I said, we're going to get a down block here. And since this linebacker's pulled out, that's all they have to worry about. But we'll get a steal there, a wash down there, a kick out from our backside guard, and we'll get a very nice engagement from Warren, our tight end, and there's going to be a lot of grass to operate here. So we'll watch it play out. See, there's our kick out. We're going to wash him out, snake on all through with our down blocks on the backside. Jet motion gets him pulled away from where the play is going. So once we get a little kick out there, and yeah, you can see that run lane develop. Basically 10 yards before contact, we make a guy miss, and we add on to the explosive. Here's a counter RPO. Like most of Tennessee's run concepts, especially on early downs, had RPO tags attached. So of the 33 in our meaningful minutes sample, 24 were RPOs, but you like to see that both had a success rate over 50%. So you gotta like that. So here is a kind of a messy rep just because it's not the cleanest way to handle our edge. He squeezes down fairly well. Our tackle can't get by and get to our clean double team. And because of that, it kind of makes it a little messy. But we do bounce because of how our trapper and rapper eventually get to their landmarks and make something worthwhile from this play. And even though like you would like to see that front side double team work its way back towards that linebacker, this is going to be a rep where this backer is just untouched and where speed beats speed in the open field. So I already mentioned how the bluff counter, where you can have your tight end aligned towards the strength as opposed to the weak side and still run counter, faking split zone for a beat and then coming back up and being a lead blocker with that backside guard still working. But this is just a traditional form of counter, pulling him from the strength, pulling him from strength of the formation from one side to the other, and then working weak from the area where he just came from. So like I said, on the front side, down block, we'll watch it out play here. Edge squeezes it down. It's not the cleanest job, and you'll see this could arguably be holding because of how our right tackle handles things. I mean, he's barely hugging him at the point of attack, basically. But our reinforcements are on the way, and it's not a pristine kick out by any means by our backside guard puller, but because of how our linebacker is able to reach, or how our tight end is able to reach that linebacker, it springs this bad boy. So there we go. Kick him out, another arguable hold, but Jabari Small gets to speed and outruns Baskerville like he is supposed to do. So a very rare explosive rep from counter, again, like a lot of other looks, a single-digit run rate, explosive run rate, but down to down, fairly consistent with an over 50% success rate. Dart or tackle wrap. It has been a fairly consistent look the last 2 years within this offense, and this past season it saw a lot of usage from stack formations, and it was commonly paired with tunnel screens. So of the 59 RPO snaps with this look, 41 were tunnel screens. Again, a very high concentration with this look, but this is a fairly simple idea. It's like a lot of other Tennessee's run games where you're really trying to maximize your numbers in the box, stress people on the perimeter with quick screens or quick outlets or vertical stressors to both stress them sideline to sideline as well as up and down. So this is not the cleanest rep. You'll see a UK linebacker has an opportunity to make this play, but he does not. But on the play side, we're trying to get a double team, work towards the second level. Same thing on the inside, double team, try to work the backside, and then kick out for our puller, who is looking to kick out or engage the first thing outside of our tackle, and our back is just going to hit that crease that is created there. So this is also a read option. This guy is untouched. So Hooker had a decent amount of keeps on the season across a myriad of looks, but he mostly did hand it off, and he does on this instance. So you can see here, right forces the give. On our front side, everyone's basically blocking down. with our puller looking to engage this guy for a kick-out opportunity. And you'll see right there is where our untouched linebacker could have made the play. So if we were to draw this back up again, that's supposed to be this front side double team working there. They are occupied with this edge, and this guy basically scrapes clean to make this play. He's just unable to. So again, look, this is 2 versus 1 at the point of attack where this play is going to go, and yet it still works out for Tennessee. Like a lot of things in this ball game, this one did not end as close as the score did right here. So snakes up inside with him, over pursuing towards the outside, hits our crease, and even though it wasn't the best blocking play, it's a decent amount of green grass for us to race and get an explosive run. So unlike a lot of other Tennessee runs that really struggled to generate explosive gains, this one logged a 30% explosive run rate. So that is 15 explosive carries on the season. And you know what? 9 of the last 11 reps ended as explosive carries. So that was basically 53% of the concept's yards overall. So a very nice, strong close to the season with the tackle wrap, dart, read option. Here is another example of dart RPO tunnel. Like I mentioned in the last video, 9 of the last 11 reps of this look went for at least 10 yards. And even though this is an explosive touchdown, later in this game, there was an 80-yard touchdown rep. So that definitely helped pad the numbers. All in all, again, 30% across the season, gained at least 10 yards. It was far and away this offense's most explosive run look. So most of the RPOs, they were with the tunnel, but that's inconsequential on this play. I also wanted to draw this up because unlike the previous rep, this is a different way to block it. So unlike having that front side double team with your tackle and tight end hoping to work towards that second level, on this instance, you are arcing your tight end towards that nickelback, having a tackle guard double team at the point of attack, hoping to work back towards a linebacker. But this isn't necessarily the cleanest job blocking this linebacker blitz, but nonetheless, he is occupied. He is blocked from the center. On the backside, our guard is going to take care of that 3 technique with this edge being our keyed defender untouched. So as you can imagine with this double team, working towards the second level, that's how you get a hat on a hat and able to maximize this play. But because how this double team is only able to work that man down, our linebacker is going to be untouched and he has an opportunity to make the play. He does not. It's going to be a good example of small to keep his feet running, to keep his motor hot. But I just wanted to draw it up just because of how this arc double team was just a little bit different way for us to draw it up because of how our tackle then engages that defensive end as opposed to a nickelback. So we'll watch it play out. You can see the play side double. They actually do a good job sealing, none else. You'll see our puller and before he goes up to engage. So boom. Again, they do their job well. It's just the fact that our other interiors, even though we have a numbers advantage, no one's able to spill back on our backside linebacker. He meets us in the hole with an opportunity to make the play. Again, he does not. Small makes him miss and a safety miss, and he races towards the end zone. So, again, a very explosive wrinkle within this offense, and moving forward, it might be one of the lead looks for the 2023 season based on their returns last year. The inside zone slam read, a basic concept. Nonetheless, it was featured in this offense to round out its staple run. So, not as featured as in years past, only 52 reps, and its role in this offense basically was to be a short yardage converter. 28 reps with 3 yards or less, and this rep articulates that as well. Only 5 explosive carries on the year, like a lot of other run looks. That is a single-digit explosive run rate. So on the year, like a lot of other concepts, Hendon Hooker, even though this is Joe Milton, definitely preferred to hand it off or be a pitcher on the run-pass outlet there. So only 10 keepers on inside zone reads, both slam and bluff this past season, for a 40% success rate from Hendon Hooker. So moving forward, I would definitely imagine either a lower return or just amount with Joe Milton. I think he would absolutely prefer to use his arm attacking space rather than his legs. So that should be an interesting element moving forward for this offense. To that, 22 of the 52 reps occurred in the first 3 games. It was definitely front-loaded towards the schedule, and as the season went along, more gap schemes, more versatile looks started to overtake Tennessee's script. So, all in all, a fairly decent split between run-pass options and not, 15 versus 13. But with RPOs, as you can imagine, having a little bit more sideline-to-sideline stress, had much higher returns, 8.5 yards per attempt on a 60% success rate in our meaningful minutes sample here. Now, the actual play, the actual rep that we have here, this works because all 3 of our interiors give fantastic effort, all in their own ways. We're going to have a kick out from our play side tackle and a decent amount of job on the backside to prevent penetration, but they lose their numbers advantage. But we regain it because our center is able to block both linebackers. Our front side guard is able to keep fighting before eventually sealing his man. And our left guard is able to stop a stunt and get an instant reach on his man. And with this linebacker being our read option, untouched guy, we're really going to like how this is drawn up. So, again, this is another example of how fast this Tennessee offense likes to operate. 35 seconds on the play clock. The umpire literally stops placing the ball before we hike the ball. And the safety is off screen because, like a lot of teams, he is very afraid of the verticality of this offense. Of course, in this game, Joe Milton definitely helped take the top off the defense multiple times. But again, this rep is made because of our 3 interiors, and we wanted to highlight them in their own way. So again, we're going to get a kick out. Let it play out. Watch this effort from the right guard. He is initially lost, but he keeps reaching, keeps working for that reach, and we get it. And of course, on the inside, watch our center take care of both of these linebackers. Works up, gets him, and then clips him. Fantastic job. And then great awareness from the left tackle to take advantage of the stunt and get an instant reach and keep him out of the play. So, all in all, the inside zone slam read wasn't overly explosive like a lot of these other core run concepts within this offense, but still, it's a basic look, and its basic foundation allows a lot of route tags on the outside that this offense can stress defenses with, whether on true handoffs, keepers, or RPO pitches to space.
As is custom in the Baylor spread, vertical choices played a huge part in Tennessee's passing game, but depending on how the routes broke, signified how they were categorized. For instance, if it was a 2x2 route and you had both those guys running curls, it was signified as all curls. If one of them ran a middle seam, it was signified as Hoss. If both of them went vertical with the guy running a middle seam, it was then signified as divide. So yes, a lot of versatility, a lot of different ways the cookie could crumble based on the breaks of the wide receivers, but nonetheless, let's draw up some of Tennessee's most targeted pass patterns in meaningful minutes from this past season.
The Wheelie Switch, a dangerous, explosive pattern from this offense, basically doubled the next closest concept in total yardage in our meaningful minutes sample. So this is an explosive rep using a stack formation to facilitate things. So UK is going to have a cover 4 look. So that is 4 deep defenders. You would think with 4 deep offensive routes, you would have that capped. But because of how the releases get the back end on different pages, it results in a wide open completion for Tennessee. So to back this up, you can see it before pre-snap. This is another example of lining up quick, really testing defenses. We saw examples of handing off, throwing tunnel screens to space, and now testing defenses deep. So, again, this is UK's best pass rusher. He's out in the flat, and you have 2 deep defenders potentially to cap those routes. But you'll see on the replay,
even a wide open pass, won't throw that play down. He's so dang wide open. You'll see on the replay how our outside corner, our deep fourth defender, who's supposed to keep sideline integrity, he will turn his hips towards this in-breaking route, perceiving it's going to be something like a double break inside, but it's a pretty good job from Hyatt to feign inside for just a beat before he then cuts along the sideline. Fairly good awareness from J.J. Weaver to carry this up the sideline, but look, he's not going to win a foot race between one of the fastest players in college football and himself. And of course, the safety is going to have his eyes inside with the in-breaker. But with both of UK's deep defenders looking towards the inside, it's just not going to be a great result for the Wildcats. But again, overall, really, really explosive pass pattern in this offense. 17 explosive targets throughout the course of the season. Here's another example of the Wheelie Switch generating an explosive completion, even though this is in garbage time and it's going to be a rep outside the pocket. I wanted to draw it up because it's going to potentially forecast a relationship for this offense in 2023 between Squirrel Wright and Mr. Milton. So you'll see on this play, kind of like last time, how the inside bender will bring the attention of both deep defenders towards that side of the formation. And since Squirrel Wright is so bleeping fast, he generates cushion for himself right away. And we'll see this at the top of the screen. And, even though the broadcast angle does not necessarily catch what all went wrong with this defensive coverage, we can tell by the space he generated by the time he catches the ball that he was wide the heck open, considering that Milton was flushed left. And speaking of Milton being flushed left, boy, this guy's got a cannon. So we'll watch it play out towards the top of the screen. You can see it's a little bit of a different technique than some other teams who do wheelie switches. Some teams do kind of a flat and continuing. This one's a little bit more vertical. He's going about 5 to 6 yards downfield before then working towards the outside, but still you have that inside bender from the outside. So you can see right here with him focusing inside, him getting outside, he then turns on the jets, folks. And let's just see right here. Yeah, fairly good completion, I'd say, from one of the fastest receivers returning in college football. So even though you can say that's slightly underthrown, that is still a very nice display of arm strength rolling to his left from Joe Milton. So overall in our sample, again, wheelie switches, 45% success rate, really good efficiency considering the verticality of this concept. Speaking to that, 17 explosive completions across the entire season. Here's an example of all curls, a very simple pass pattern, a pitch and catch opportunity to take advantage of sagging zone coverages or loose man coverage. So it's tough to exactly say what's going on this side of the formation in terms of coverage, because you'll see technical director decided to go in tight, so we can't exactly see what happens. But if this is going to be like a 5 deep type of coverage, curls to space just makes a whole lot of sense now, doesn't it? So even though you will have a middle occupier dig occasionally from this offense, more often than not, one of the curl routes was targeted. So even though we don't know exactly what's going on in the back end over here, on this side, it is a traditional cover 4 drop. So that's 2 deep defenders and a flank defender. And because we have 2 double curls, this fellow is basically going to be locked up managing his zone. And with him respecting verticality, again, pitch and catch opportunity, throwing to space. So it's off play action. Of the 43 drop back versions of curls, 15 had play action. Now, what do I mean by drop back play action? That is just true pass patterns, because additionally, we had 93 RPO reps in one shape or another, 136 featured snaps from all curls in one shape or another, either facilitating the idea of this run game to really test box and tear and give an outlet to space that could do damage, or again, if defenses are thinking something's going to happen deep downfield, we'll just curl up to space and throw. So this is an example of just that, curling up to space and throw. So you can see already testing or respecting the verticality, him locked up in man coverage, and again, Brew McCourse is going to curl up, and we're going to throw a strike and get a conversion. All in all, it's nothing too complicated, but it delivered about a 64% success rate in our meaningful minute sample, scratching the itch for this to be among this offense's most targeted pass patterns, its most targeted concepts overall, and its most successful. Here's another example of play action curls. So of the 136 featured snaps, all curls drew a target on 52. So that's only 22% of its snaps that it actually drew a target, and 0 of them resulted in a completion over 20 yards. But it did generate one 40-yard scramble. But again, this is just operating with given space. A lot of defenses respected the verticality of this offense. You can see right away. So this is going to go to Jalen Hyatt. You can see how the coverage man is already giving us 10 yards of cushion before the ball is snapped. This is also pretty good pre-snap recognition for Hendon Hooker, so he's audibly making sure he gets max protection. So unlike our previous example, we're keeping our tight end as an extra body in to block, so we can pick up this man blitz. It looks like it's going to be just single high man coverage from South Carolina, and since our man coverage is giving us a whole lot of space, we're just going to run all curls, and like our previous example, throw a strike and get an easy completion. So again, nothing sexy, but it did deliver a 64% success rate, which you cannot bat an eye at. Here's a quick example drawing up all curls or all hitches with an RPO. So again, of the 136 reps, 93 were on RPOs. So like other examples, nothing complicated. If they're going to give us zone coverage, sagging zone coverage, we're just going to take advantage of that and have a pitch and catch opportunity. So on this inside zone read pairing, where this guy is our read defender, he's also in conflict in terms of coverage. So this appears to be cover 4, like another example we had in another video. So these guys are 2 deep defenders responsible for a fourth of the field. Of course, if they're playing back, that leaves no one else in the flat except for this guy. But if he's also responsible for defending the run, he is going to be drawn up, which creates a very easy throwing lane for us to take advantage of with that much pre-snap space. So good recognition from Milton to throw it, and we'll see here how this guy is in conflict. He is brought up, completely negating any type of obstacle he may have played if he had dropped off. Of course, had he had dropped off, that could potentially opens up a quarterback keep opportunity for Milton. Even though that's not his strength, it's always in the card. So with that, pitch and catch opportunity to squirrel right, we get the conversion, and it's another simple example how this simple pattern brought about pretty good efficiency for this offense. Tunnel screens, like all curls, very simple idea to stress defenses sideline to sideline and to take advantage of voids in underneath areas of the coverage if the defense bails back, respecting verticality. So also like all curls, it was featured on a buttload of snaps. Over 150 snaps featured RPO tunnels, basically 16% of this offense's plays. That is a significant chunk, to say the least. It drew 33 targets across the schedule for 2 explosive completions over 20 yards. So this is using shoot motion, escort motion. Tennessee on the forefront using this in the SEC, even though they didn't use it as much as in years past. Only 7 RPO tunnels use the shoot motion, but of the 7, 4 worked. So pretty good returns in terms of that using that tactic. But you will also use escort motion in this offense. If you're in trips, send him back. You could run counter, stuff like that. But you're just trying to create an additional gap, either outside or inside. And of course, when you're sending him like this towards the outside, that is where we're going to create it here. So that basically means the next defender responsible for making this play is either this safety or that linebacker, and that is a lot of green grass to try and rally towards, assuming that our tight end and our slot can get a hat on a hat. Well, in this instance, since I have it drawn up, you have a pretty good idea that, yeah, it's going to be a good gain. This is one of the few explosive gains to Brew McCoy. So full head of steam, snaking on up around, engaging. Very good kick out here from our slot. That's Jalen Hyatt. You know, he's not just a speedster. He can also do stuff in the blocking as Brew McCoy gets north and south for a very good gain. So an effective wrinkle within this offense to test defenses sideline to sideline with or without motion. So here's divide 989. Simple, effective, classic, deep pass concept. So in this instance, it looks like Florida is rotating to a single high man coverage defense, and we're just going to take advantage of a one-on-one opportunity with our field and make a diving catch because the pass is a little overthrown. But nonetheless, an explosive pattern that generated 8 completions of at least 20 yards or more across 31 targets. All in all, this bad boy was featured on 36 snaps, with 30 of them utilizing a form of play action. So you would also see, like on this play, insert action, split zone action, and straight zone action. So unlike the wheelie switch that we saw in a previous example where our trailer's kind of working inside before then going out in this stack technique, you will see right away he's going outside. He's trying to be a middle bender, of course, with a one-on-one on the other side. But we can see because now the play action at least pulls that safety up. This is the only guy that can help cap the other route towards the other side of the formation. And since he is working towards that stack set, like a lot of teams, very concerned about capping the vertical switch, that we get that one-on-one opportunity. Hendon Hooker gives this guy an opportunity, even though he has to lay out for it and create a catch for himself. Nonetheless, it is a very good demonstration how a single high coverage can't be stressed and thwarted by this one-on-one matchup design. Here is another example of a play-action divide concept thwarting single high coverage like it is designed to do. But unlike our previous clip, our safety is going to be single high from the get-go. No one's going to rotate down, so pretty good pre-snap decision for Mr. Milton on where to go with the ball. And as we see here, our receiver creates a lot of cushion to where, yeah, it's going to be a pretty easy decision on where to go with the ball. So, yes, very good idea of this offense to sprinkle in multiple play actions with this concept. It was featured, on split zone actions, insert actions, straight zone actions, and with the balanced script in the run game, it just absolutely helps sell the whole operation. And when you can generate single high coverages and you have guys who are blazing speed and tough to cap, it's just a really, really good avenue of this offense to articulate its potency. So here, our middle bender on this route, you will see he will keep our middle of the field safety anchored towards his position to where he cannot help out over top on either deep route. And even though you can maybe argue he could have targeted the vert along the left, you'll see here, there is no argument why he shouldn't have targeted the one on the right. That is a lot of separation from Ramel Keaton from that secondary, and that ball is right on the money with someone barreling right towards him. So great poise, great potential execution of what could come in 2023 with the classic vertical concept, 989 divide.
cross, the weak side flood pattern consisting of an under-over cross and a deep dig, curl read to space, or bang 8 post, was featured on 58 snaps across Tennessee's season, and it drew 30 targets, with 5 of them generating a completion over 20 yards. So it was most featured in basically this South Carolina game and against Missouri. Those two games, 37% of its usage. So just because how South Carolina basically like to man up and play single high, cross can be a single high beater. And it's tough to say whether this is man or zone, but it's definitely a bust from South Carolina because of the orbit motion going from one side of the formation to the other. You'll see this nickelback collapse and run support after initially following him, but neither of these two linebackers bump out to help because pre-snap, and this nickelback safety recognizes it, how it's 3 versus 2 defenders. And, that's just never a good thing, what you like to see. So, eventually, he's going to be caught in no man's land because he doesn't know who to guard. And the free safety, who's supposed to potentially be middle of the field capper, he's peeking towards the line of scrimmage, and he is not going to be in position to make any bit of difference on this play. So, there's our at-snap motion. You can see he comes back into the box before eventually coming. But none of these guys come out to help, as we are caught between a rock and a hard place with our safety not in any bit of position to help. Easy pitch and catch touchdown for Tennessee. So 45% success rate in our meaningful minutes sample, 8.0 yards per target. That's fine. But, some of the returns were fudged a little bit. We had 6 scrambles and 5 sacks across those 30 designed touches I mentioned earlier. So what was this paired with, you ask? Well, let's just do our normal 2x2 formation. And if we kept our cross on this side, a lot of them were basically the Haas concept, a fox wrinkle, so you're fake blocking like it's going to be like a tunnel screen or something before continuing on your path, or just a straight up slot fade in addition to the weak side cross. So all in all, a decent look from this offense, but not something that was one of their better looks. Haas, it's a very simple pattern. Just a curl steam combo from 2x2 that's really meant to beat single high zone coverages. And this is an example of that, and it played into the verticality of Tennessee's offense, whether it was wheelie switches, all curls, divide, very up and down types of route trees. This was another way to facilitate that. So we get a late rotation here from our defense, but you'll see here how this safety bails back towards the middle of the field. It basically makes all the difference on this play because since it is cover 3, this deep third defender will then be locked up with our curl one-on-one, and this flank defender who will be warding off this seam, he's assuming the safety is going to be there, and since he's not, it's going to be wide freaking open. Ideally, yes, if this was a 2x2 situation against cover 3, 3 deep defenders, middle of the field, safety with 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath players, there is going to be a natural vulnerability up the seams, and there's going to be pressure on this safety to pick correctly. But you'll see here, Tennessee does a very common thing in their offense. They run dummy routes. They don't do a darn thing at the top of the screen. They are just occupying their guys. They do a great job of it. Again, it forces this safety to open his hips and scream towards the middle of the field, putting his back towards the seam, and it's going to be an easy pitch and catch opportunity. So all in all, 39 feature snaps from Haas from this offense. It drew 29 targets, and of those 29,
5 went for 20 plus. So here's another look at the play from the sky high view. Just to really scream, it's a single high beater through and through. This is a pretty good schemed up shot from Josh Heupel early in the Alabama game this year. So we mentioned on an earlier video how shoot motion can help add an extra gap towards the other side of the formation, either giving you an extra blocker or, in some instances, give you a little head of steam for a little outlet route. But you'll see here how that motion, either with Alabama expecting a tunnel screen or some type of rinky-dinky thing towards the flat, how our safety is caught flat-footed, and it's going to result in Jalen Hyatt getting wide open down the seam. So it appears it's a too deep coverage from Alabama. It looks like they're going to have locked up on the outside. It might have been some type of potential bracket here it's obviously going to be a bust, but you can see that this guy is playing with outside leverage, and Hyatt's just going to hunt for that inside seam, and he's going to win it right away. So we'll let it play out here. But you can see with the additional flat in addition to the curl seam combo, but you got his eyes going towards the flat, his eyes going towards the flat, his eyes going towards the flat. It's not necessarily a great rep of defense. As you can see, by this time, he's past the marker. It's already too late for the defense. We let it fly, and it's an easy pitch and catch opportunity. So we'll see it again from the All-22, but we can surmise the exact same stuff. A lot of aggressiveness, trying to rally towards something rinky-dinky, and using our blazing speed to get open. Again, he's the guy with the outside leverage. He was the guy supposed to have inside leverage on this presumed bracket, and of course, it results in a bust and a Tennessee touchdown. Here's another explosive rep of Haas paired with a slant fade rub. In StatCat lingo, that is known as Pickaxe. So in addition to pairing it with Pickaxe, we already saw examples of solo Haas, which only run on one side of the formation. I mentioned in the cross video, sometimes Haas would show up on the other side of the formation. It was also paired a decent amount with curl dig. You can get that bender on the other side of the formation to do a true square dig as opposed to something like that you would see against single high. So, there was a decent amount of variety. Of the 39 featured snaps, 13 had play action. And even though this isn't really one of them, I just wanted to bring that up because I forgot to bring that up in the other video. So, again, we're going to have a slant wheel. So it looks like everyone else is locked up on man coverage in addition to that simulated pressure. So he's going to come. And, this guy is giving us a lot of space here. He really does respect Jalen Hyatt's verticality, but he's still going to make a heck of a catch here to get an explosive gain and set up a scoring opportunity. So basically we're just throwing over this guy's head and ahead of this guy's head. So he just gave us so much space. He was afraid of letting up the touchdown. He wasn't worried about letting up the conversion. So very nice catch. As we can see, and we're tackled inside the 5-yard line. But all in all, this look, Haas concept, very, very simple. Nothing complicated whatsoever. It finished as one of this offense's most successful looks with a blistering 68% success rate and 14.4 yards per attempt. So when you have reps like this, it's easy to see why. Tosser, the dual slant combo, finished as this offense's most successful look in meaningful minutes. A blistering, red-hot 75% success rate. And this is the lone explosive target on the season. In our meaningful minutes sample of the 17 slant patterns. 11 of them were tosses. So definitely the preferred way to get slants involved into this offense on the season. Overall, 18 featured snaps, 13 targets. And again, really, really great efficiency. Just really designed to take advantage of in-breaker real quick, if given some space, or to beat a fastball ahead of the blitz, which is what we get here. And when you have someone like Jalen Hyatt, you can turn a 10-yard completion into an explosive touchdown with that speed. So not the best camera angle to really show off the single high man coverage, but you can see he's clearly responsible for him breaking inside if we space a little forward. There's the guy who's supposed to play middle of the field, last line of defense for the defense, and even he cannot keep up with that speed, with that angle there. So all in all, very simple look, but occasionally featured in these mid-range situations or on early downs to just keep them ahead of the chains and present an easy pitch and catch opportunity. So Pickaxe, a rub variety consisting of a slant and a fade combo, was primarily used to target this slant route, to use the vertical outside release to create a little bit of space to throw underneath. And because of that and how that really made up most of the targets, it enabled a 70% success rate in our meaningful minutes sample. That was the second highest of any look, with at least a 1.1% play share by this offense. Ideally, you would like to see some deep opportunities set up, but all in all, you're not going to bat an eye at a 70% success rate when easy completions present themselves over the middle of the field like that. So nothing complicated, it's just a little way to create a little additional room for spaces, for slants. We already mentioned about the tosser concept. Dual slants were this offense's most successful look, and it's nice to see that the slant fade combo as well rounded out slant usage with this offense. And of course, it's just a shorter version of the wheelie switch. So on this side of the formation, we're going to actually have a true deep wheelie switch in addition to, so that's a fade slant combo, which is a lot more short oriented. So we had the deep kind of switch and the short switch, with the short switch towards the field and the slant, like I said, plenty of space to operate and move the chains. RPO Bubble Screens, nothing too fancy, and even though they finished among this offense's 5 most successful concept, it was not potent whatsoever. 0 tries over 10 yards. It only drew 12 targets across the season despite being featured on 74 snaps. So this is really designed to be advantageous. Like most RPO outlets, you're only going to see the ball if you have an advantage either in space or in numbers. In this case, it is an advantage in space. You can see how this safety, who was responsible for this flat defender, he's 10 yards away. So we're going to get a block, throw, and it's really good pre-snap recognition from Hendon Hooker to throw it. So this is paired with that classic counter design like we had in an earlier video, backside guard, trapper, offset tight end, wrapper, and basically back-to-back plays, the exact same result because how the safety respects the space here for our speedy slot receiver. So we get it to him about 4 or 5 yards downfield before we're touched. Same idea. Very next play, he's playing so far off, and usually you don't see bubble screens towards the boundary like that. In this instance, it definitely does not matter. So again, even though it wasn't overly explosive, bubble screens, they were fairly consistent, whether in the RPO land or in true screen world. Of the 27 true screens in our sample, 11 were true bubble screens. So no run fake, no RPO, just true quick out, getting to him
in space, sometimes opposite dual slants or other type of designs. But again, nothing crazy, but it still was one of this offense's most successful looks because it was meant to take advantage of space and numbers in these situations.
So there you have it. There were the staples that helped make this one of the most exciting offenses in all of college football last season. Sure, we didn't get into every nook and cranny of the Josh Heupel offense, but it still was a large chunk of their operation. If you're our coach, maybe you can steal some ideas and apply it to your own situation. Whether it is an eclectic run game that helps entice safeties into the box, whether it is the vertical choice or vertical switch concepts, or the breakneck speed to really stress defenses in a lot of different areas. But we are in the offseason. I still want to invite you to visit secstatcat.com. See everyone's pass chart. You can see concept breakouts, advanced stats with applicable filters. It really helps nitty-gritty gamblers find an edge for who is better, or if you are a casual fan, at least become a little bit more knowledgeable on your favorite programs and players. So that is at SEC StatCat on Twitter, at SEC StatCat on YouTube. Smash those follows and keep along with us this offseason. But until next time, I'm Clark Brooks reminding you to have a good one.